Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're joining us from, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Eugenia, and I'll be your host. It's our pleasure to have Aereo with us today, who will be presenting this webinar titled Mining's New Decision Standard, Areo's Data to Action Reconciliation. Let me introduce our esteemed guest speakers for today. First, we have Piyush Rana, Head of Business Development at Aereo. Piyush Rana drives business growth and strategic partnerships with Aereo, the premier drone solutions provider globally. With a decade of experience in UAV technology and aerospace engineering, plus Six Sigma certification, he helps enterprises harness drone data to transform operations. Piyush bridges technical innovation with commercial impact, delivering intelligent solutions for mining, infrastructure, and beyond by turning aerial data into actionable insights that redefine industries. And our next presenter is Vipul Singh, CEO and co-founder at Aereo. Vipul Singh is a pioneer with more than 10 years in unmanned systems. He has driven drone adoption across mining, infrastructure, alongside urban and rural development. As chairperson of the Drone Federation of India, he shapes policy and accelerates industry growth. And now I'll provide some housekeeping information before we start. First of all, I would like to welcome you to our webinar platform On24. You will notice that this webinar is browser-based. So if you disconnect for any reason, please just click on the link that you received via email to rejoin the session. During today's event, there will be plenty of time to ask questions to our speakers. You can do that via the questions widget. Just type your question in this box and click submit. We will allocate some time at the end of the session to answer questions or any thoughts that you may have. Don't forget to explore our resource library, where you can find downloadable materials. We would also like to invite you to fill out a short survey at the end of the webinar. You can find it in the survey widget at the bottom of your screen. In addition, we're having several anonymous polling questions today, and you can vote simply by selecting the answers that are relevant to you and clicking submit button. If you require any assistance, please use the help widget, and you can move, resize, and maximize any of the windows in front of you to get a better view of the slides. But now, please allow me to welcome our first presenter, Piyush Rana. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Eugenia. Hello, everyone. Myself, Piyush Rana here. I have been at the helm of business development at Aereo for the better part of the decade. And let me start today's session by saying a simple truth about mining. So mining, what we have learned is not short of data, but it is short of clarity. So at Aereo, we understand this, and we are building these AI-powered geospatial intelligence that transforms how mining teams really operate. Our drone agnostic solution delivers faster, more accurate data at scale. But one thing that we understand, it is not just about capturing the data, processing the data, but it is about turning that data into, I would say, enterprise-ready intelligence. Whether it is mining, whether it is urban infrastructure, or any other sector, our solution adapts to these sector-specific needs with global, I would say, global-grade security, intelligence, and customizations. So talking about some credentials, so we have spent more than, better part of the decade carrying out surveys across the globe. So we have a cumulative experience of mapping more than 150,000 square kilometers, over which we have surveyed more than 3,700 plus mines, more than 200,000 or say 2,000 physical verification surveys with more than 99% accuracies, and more than 100,000 reports generated, which have augmented safety, compliance, and other workflows in the mining operations. So these credentials, they are not just numbers, they are the proof that AI native workflows can scale precision, speed, reliability across the mining operations. And these workflows are built to handle the complexity of reconciliation, where every delay, every mismatch, and every manual step really impacts the throughput, safety, and compliance of any operations. So let's talk about, I would say, elephant in the room, reconciliation today. So it is one of the biggest challenges that we have seen a lot of mining companies face, and often it is invisible until it's too late. Complex operations, specialized resources, fragmented workflows mean that the overall turnaround time suffers, the quality gets impacted, and the results are not what are expected to be. And without these adequate resources, the teams really struggle to get timely, actionable insights. Manual mapping techniques, disconnected systems, siloed data makes reporting even harder than it should really be. And this is why we feel that digitization in the mines is no longer, I would say, optional. It is only the way forward. So talking about the life cycle of the mine, what we understand it at every stage of mine life cycle, the geospatial data plays a inevitably crucial role, from exploration to land acquisition to drill and blast operations or even environmental compliances. Accurate and timely data or reconciliation is very critical. So this is why Aereo's expertise comes into play, and our single window solution that integrates all of the geospatial data and a lot more delivers this at the time when it is required to make the decision. And this is why automation in itself, it's not just uh, inevitable, it's about intelligence in motion. And with this, I would like to invite someone who's been at the forefront of this transformation, our CEO and co-founder, Vipul Singh. Vipul will take us deeper into how AI native workflows are redefining mining decisions and helping reconciliation be made easy. Over to you, Vipul.
Thank you, Piyush. Thanks a lot for the introduction and also passing it on to me. Thanks a lot, Eugenia, for hosting the event so well. And thank you, everyone, for joining our session today. So, before we move forward, it's important to understand the major challenge which we have been foreseeing some of our existing partners which have been dealing. What we have seen over the last decade is that in mining, they have plenty of digital technologies which are being used at different stages. However, the connectivity between different technologies and the ability to reconcile all the data for a conclusive decision is something where everyone almost struggles at different levels, depending on what technology today they are using. So today's session, we are going to focus more on the reconciliation problem statement, that how AI can enable us to reconcile all the data coming from different sources and also enable faster turnaround time with more reliable and scalable performance. So before we move forward, it is important to also tell you all that we are going to keep it a very interactive session. So we'll have polls, we'll have videos, and we'll like you guys to also put your questions for us so that we can make it more a two-way communication today. So if we, moving forward, if we talk about particularly the reconciliation problem statement, there are several challenges which we have foreseen that the most of the companies deal with. One of them is the fragmented workflows. While there are advanced systems installed, but they are most of the time in silos. And if it is a large organization, then every unit has its own system. If it is, let's say, an organization with units spread across different parts of the world, then definitely different geographies have different tech stack which is working in silos for that particular unit. So there is hardly any centralized data and intelligence which is working in the whole show. So because of that and data being fragmented, there is very delayed insight to action. Most of the processes, once the data is in place, is still manually dependent on various analysis. And we end up deploying different resources and experts in fragmented ways to be able to generate the insights. And hence the third problem gets generated, which is the inconsistency in the standards across different sites, and which is why there is a high level of complexity which gets involved when it comes to replicating best practices to your global operations. And then as a result, we are most of the time in the mining operation reactive, not preventive, because there is hardly any data which is coming real time and insights which are coming real time. So most of the time we are doing postmortem of the issues and creating SOPs for how to handle it in the future, rather than being preventive as and when the incident or the challenges are being faced. Now, while there is a lot of focus on the production and planning in the mine, there is also an increasing pressure on the mining companies to meet their ESG goals. And regulators across the world are also expecting mining companies to become more ESG compliant. But while managing production, while managing timely planning, and while also ensuring standardization across the global operations, ensuring ESG compliances which are very tuned to the local regulations is another challenging area. Hence, there is a need for creating very robust models which can be implemented and scale. But these models today are mostly hard coded and they are not predictive. Why they are not predictive? Because there are variable factors across different sites. And most of the time, we are also relying on the historical data of the site, which may not be at the best quality or frequency possible to be able to create a very robust model. So these are some of the challenges which are being addressed across the industry in different particular ways. So as we see, there are the mining is shifting. The playbook in the mining is being rewritten as and when various digital technologies are being developed. However, with the arrival of AI, there is a major shift which is happening, and also the advanced sensors. So earlier, if we look at, a lot of intelligence of the mining site is dependent on the geospatial data. Most of the geospatial data was being collected through manual processes, manual surveys, or handheld equipment. Now, most of the mining sites, especially in the advanced economies, have moved towards utilizing advanced solutions like drones, laser scanners to collect high fidelity data from the site. They have moved from localized storage to cloud storage, and also standardizing some of their surveying processes. But however, there is still very limited set of organizations out there which have integrated AI to their workflows. And most of the AI adoption in enterprises across the world is limited to large language models and have not yet started saturating into the visuals and 3D data sets which they are collecting right now. Its penetration is very limited. But if we look at the various AI workflows which are being envisaged that would enable the mining insights furthermore, are some of them are basically tools which can do quality checks, tools which can do predictive analysis on safety, compliance, and planning of the mine, and tools which can generate real-time dashboards and trigger decisions. But when it comes to adopting these AI workflows, it is important that the data is collected at scale, at high frequency, and also centralized. Then only the data can be organized and viewed or analyzed using AI. So, but the ability to collect all of this data, putting it together, and then enabling AI over it is very much dependent on the digital maturity of the organizations which are basically adopting these solutions. So when we talk about digital maturity, there are different stages in which the digital maturity can be divided. However, when we limit ourselves for today's conversation to the ability to adopt solutions like drones to collect geospatial data at high frequency, we can divide the whole mining ecosystem into four quadrants. There are companies which are not yet using drones for their regular high frequency surveys on the site. But however, there are companies which are using drones, but on, let's say, very low frequency at intervals of, let's say, once a quarter or once in a half year, and they are mostly outsourcing most of their data collection to third-party surveying agencies. On the other side, there are, if you look at the third stage, in the third stage, there are companies which are currently using drone teams, internal drone teams, and conducting high frequency surveys. However, most of these drone teams are basically being utilized across, one drone team is being utilized across multiple sites, and the drones are being operated manually by the surveyors who were earlier used to operate manual instruments for data collection. And most of their data sets are still being processed on the site in workstations and using software licenses tagged to those workstations, and they are doing most of their surveying related workflows locally at that site. But the world has also evolved to the next stage, which is the most advanced stage, where certain companies have completely automated their workflows, and they are utilizing solutions like drone in a box or IoT connected sensors, and also real-time fleet management systems. And all of that data is coming to their cloud, to an advanced control tower, where all the decision intelligence is being almost driven real time. But these are the companies which are now looking at utilizing AI, because most of the data sets are already available to them at a centralized location and coming almost real time. So depending on the maturity of your organization and also the geography where you are, because a lot of these maturity factors depend on the infrastructure which is available in the geography where your site is operating, the journey could look very different. How to go about utilizing AI and advanced sensors will vary from which quadrant your site or your organization sits into. So first and the foremost important problem statement here to solve is to ensure that all the data is collected in a very standard way, being centrally located, and also the frequency of the data has to be fast enough to be able to generate high granularity insights for your site operations. If the data sets are not centralized, it's very difficult to be able to standardize it or to run a standard AI model over it, or to be able to use the cloud compute infrastructure, which is right now one of the enabling factors to leverage AI solutions. Otherwise, if also the data sets are not coming on high frequency, then we deal with the challenge of delayed intelligence. And delayed intelligence, as we all know, is hardly of any use because it can't help us achieve preventive status. It will allow us to only postmortem the issues. So the first problem statement which we need to solve is to ensure accurate data is available at very high frequency with defined accuracy or high standards of accuracy. So today, AI is able to solve all of this with the advanced automation tools as well as AI integrated. We can address some of these issues very effectively. So highlighting the challenges which we need to deal with, you have to ensure that there is a high data accuracy ensured. Most of your site operations of data collection is of high frequency and in a pre-scheduled manner rather than incident driven. And the data collection standards and storage has to be standardized and centralized. And then only the next level can be achieved, which is the utilization of AI for solving your workflows. So before we move forward, I think we take a pause here and would love to understand where your site stands in terms of its digital maturity and adoption of technologies like drones. So we would like you guys to also help us with your answers to this poll. So I'll repeat the question here. I'll read the question to you. So which of the following scenarios best describes your current use of drones for your site operations as far as your site and organization goes? Option A, you don't yet use drones. Option B, you use drones, but you outsource it. Option C, you outsource it as and when needed. Option D, you have your in-house drone operations today being managed by your own team. And option E, you have already used full stack automated solutions where you have a drone in a box kind of solution being managed autonomously, remotely, and connected to the cloud. We'll wait for 10 seconds for you to give the answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you very much. And I will just would like to remind the audience to participate. Please select the answer that's relevant to you. You can just click on the answer and then click submit button. So we'll have about 20 seconds for this poll. So please feel free to participate. And yeah, you can start voting now. Yeah, about 10 seconds left. Do you still have time? Okay, let's see the results.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you'll need to scroll down. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's good to know that majority of our participants today are already using drone in a box solution for their drone operations. So at least the first problem statement for them is solved, that you have a large volume of data coming on time and being stored centrally. So once we have solved this problem, and then the second largest vote goes to, or the poll has been given to, in-house operations. So which means that you're already using drones for most of your site intelligence, which is fantastic. So today's participants, as we see, are in almost the third and the fourth quadrant of digital maturity, where they have drone operations either being done by in-house teams or through the drone in a box solution. So as we solve this problem of collecting data on time, we move to the next problem statement. So let's understand that while most of you have been already using drones today, there would have been a journey where you would have taken this decision to adopt drones in your site workflows or your survey workflows. So this particular question of the poll addresses or tries to understand your challenges which came on your way when you were basically adopting the drone solutions, or even the challenges which you face today in your current drone operations. So what is your biggest barrier to fully adopting drone solutions in your operations as far as using it for all the functions in your mining organization goes? Is it the inconsistent turnaround time? Is it the varying data quality, let's say, across sites, across geographies? Is it high manual effort which is required currently for your data processing and analysis needs? Or if there is anything else, you can drop your answers in the Q&A section if you feel that none of the A, B, or C fits to your challenge which you faced or are facing right now. You have 20 seconds to select your response.
Yeah, thank you very much. And just a reminder that if you'd like to see all the available answers, the selection of all the answers, please scroll down. So please feel free to choose the answer that's relevant to you and then click submit. Okay, about 10 seconds left. All right, let's see the results. Okay, I need to scroll down, yeah.
Okay, great. So as we see, 100% of our participants today have been dealing with one problem statement. It is the high manual effort required for processing and analyzing the data. So maybe that also leads to, my understanding is that also leads to a lot of delayed turnaround time and also distributed efforts which are to be given to different experts to be able to analyze the data for different purposes, if this is the challenge which most of you are dealing with. So perfect. So this basically sets the course for our next slide. So how do we really solve this using AI, and what kind of reconciliation can we really achieve for peak performance? So one thing is very clear: why AI is becoming so much adopted across various enterprise workflows is because it brings standards, it brings reliability, it allows you to scale with precision across different scenarios of sites, teams, and time zones without dealing with challenges of coordination, challenges of process establishment. To a large extent, it can be automated. So let's look at some of the capabilities today, which can be delivered through the ideal AI playbook. So this is maybe an ideal scenario which all of us are really envisaging to maybe experience one day on our site operations, especially something as complex as a mining site. So we would love to see an end-to-end integration where everything from exploration, planning, operations, to your mine planning, scheduling, and ERP tools are interconnected through smart workflows, and the data from one stage to the other stage flows seamlessly. Because there are a lot of critical data sets which are being collected at every junction, we would like to see some automated quality control which can flag errors during the capture itself and also guide the teams and the technical experts on corrections which are required before the issue gets escalated. We would like to see real-time intelligence. While we have real-time data, intelligence, all kind of intelligence might not be real-time. Today we end up using a lot of geospatial resources to generate these intelligence and reports, and experts sometimes outsource expertise to generate these intelligence. So maybe if an AI can deliver or a solution can deliver real-time intelligence, that will be fantastic. And of course, if we are talking real time, we are talking also scalability. Can we scale it to all our global operations, all our sites, no matter what size or what frequency they are operating at? And can we standardize all our reports and insights so that the teams can be brought to a single business process excellence level? And can these AI solutions be predictive and preventive? So today, with the help of historical data as well as improved analysis capabilities and training of the AI models, we would love to see an AI solution which can be predictive and help us flag issues before they become a challenge on the site. And most important part is we would like to democratize the data and the insights so that it is available to everyone who's responsible to drive the changes, whether it is a supervisor on the site, whether it is a fleet operator, or is it a mine manager, or even it is a head of your entire site operations or mine operations for a particular country, or the head of your business looking at your global operations. You would like that an AI solution delivers the required insights to the respective decision makers and responsible action takers on time. So moving forward, let's look at what a particular ideal solution could look like as we basically solve the first part of the data. Here we are talking about the quality check of the data on real time, and then bringing it all automatically for your processing and storage across all your sites using a cloud solution. Well, we have seen this before. Most of you might be already using something like this. Yeah, so we have seen this before. Most of you would have been already using something like this, but do we have real-time quality check? So the solution which we just saw the video for has solved a couple of unaddressed challenges. One first challenge is that when you have data coming from different sites at different times from different devices, do we have a real-time quality check on the raw data to ensure that we don't hit bottlenecks once the data is processed, we don't end up identifying gaps in the processed data. So there is a real-time quality check which was happening using an AI tool which analyzes each and every image collected by either your drone or by your laser scanners, and then runs it through a very smart solution to check every image for a defined quality standard. And if these standards are not met, it is flagged almost real time so that any recollection or rectification of the data can be done almost immediately without waiting for someone to get back after a very long processing hour. On the other side, the size of the data itself, sometimes your site operations can be spread over thousands of hectares, and you might like to collect the data for the entire site. And what we see as a challenge is that the inability of many solutions to be able to process large data set or to smartly help you plan your site operations where you don't have to do multiple data processing instance for a single site. So here there is the second problem which is addressed is that the ability to process really large image sets up to 100,000 images covering a few square kilometers, maybe around 100 square kilometers in a single go, without the need for breaking down it into smaller projects. And then all the data coming from all across your global operations into a single source, which is your cloud storage, without the need for any manual efforts. So if you have internet connectivity, that's it. It takes to be able to ensure that all the data is brought into a single problem. So what we solve is the data is centralized. So no data is basically sitting in silos. The dependency on the hardware and formats is reduced because all your data sets is now coming to your centralized cloud storage, and it is available for every experts almost at the time when it is uploaded. So you don't have to wait for your teams to basically notify that a work has been done. You don't have to wait for the team to upload your files separately for your visualization. Everything is being done as and when the data is being collected, uploaded, processed, and everyone in the team is being notified. So, but however, once we have a process 3D model like that, it doesn't solve the problem because that's only data. And once that data is generated, the real challenge starts from there. So all you need to do generally is download that data in different formats into different systems and use different geospatial softwares or mine planning and scheduling software and run different operations for different functions and departments within the mine. And that's where the real problem statement is faced. And the problem statement we face is, again, the distribution of expertise, slow turnaround time, and a lot of manual expertise and manual tools involved in the process. So to be able to achieve the peak performance, we need to make sure that from data, we achieve the decision intelligence almost hands-free. So what we need from an ideal system is being able to generate your maps and models without the need for any downloads, without the need for any special tools, and should be accessible across any device. So you don't have to depend upon some specific hardware. You should not be dependent on some specific software licenses. It should be just available at any point of time in any device you would prefer. For example, your mobile phones, your tablets, your laptops, on the go. So if you are a business head and you have a routine of traveling a lot to visit your sites, to coordinate with your teams, and to drive business, on the go, on the fly, maybe sitting in the lounge of your airport, you should be able to access all your sites, do a virtual tour, and also see all the analytical outputs without the need for, again, waiting for an expert to do an analysis and publish the report. So how do we get there? So
accurate maps and high-quality drone data mean little if they stay locked away on a few hard drives. Planners use one tool, surveyors another, and managers depend on scattered reports, creating delays and disconnects. Aereo Cloud centralizes all your mining data, collected from different sites, into a single platform. With our centralized data repository, you can efficiently store, manage, share, and access all mining-related data sets in one place. With high-resolution orthomosaic and 3D map visualization, you can accurately inspect survey areas and pinpoint geolocations with precision, detect terrain changes and cross-sections with DEMS, creating surface plans, marking bench and toe positions, and generating contour maps enhance mine safety. Access live data anytime, anywhere, on mobile, tablet, or desktop. From surveyors and planners to engineers and decision makers, every role gets what they need, when they need it. Aereo Cloud delivers deep insights for end-to-end mine management, ensuring greater control and efficiency. Generate surface plans, LULC maps, and baseline maps to gain detailed topographical insights, enabling smarter and more informed decision-making. Monitoring progress is just as easy. With change detection overlays, you can view terrain or dump development over time. The data isn't just clear, it's instantly usable. This is where intelligence becomes impact. For example, built-up analysis in land acquisition is often slow and inaccurate, with surveys missing key features and delaying fair compensation decisions. Aereo's AI-powered digital models deliver precise digital topography of your site, mapping buildings, roads, and more in one interface. Our AI classifies structures by construction and roof type and measures dimensions, height, and floors, providing ready-to-use data for compensation and faster land acquisition. And this is just one of many AI workflows in Aereo Cloud that instantly transforms geospatial data into powerful decision intelligence.
So that was just a glimpse of how a good solution should function, where there should not be any dependency on experts to be able to process the data.
Accurate maps and high-quality drone data.
Sorry about that. There should not be any dependency across different GIS and CAD workflows to be able to generate insights. So what do we face today? Once the data is centralized and accessible, we still need to download it into fragmented pieces, use various GIS and CAD tools and Excel files to be able to run the operations on these data sets. Most of these activities are manual, repetitive, and also dependent on individual expertise. So when you have different teams sitting in different locations with different skill sets, obtaining standard outputs, especially for your geospatial activities to generate insights, is a very challenging affair. So as a result, the delays are faced where we don't get all the outputs on time. We also face format issues because every team might have their own preference of tools and solutions which they might be operating. And as a result, we get slow, inconsistent, and reactive decisions. So we run these operations because most of these operations are so lengthy that we run these operations only when there is a certain incident. So the smart workflows, a good solution should have smart workflow, where as an organization, if you set a workflow which you want to follow every time the data is generated, It should trigger automatically, and it should generate all your geospatial outputs without the need for manual interventions. And the real value addition of the experts should be on how to use that data to improve the site operations instead of struggling to generate insights from the data. A good AI solution should be also trainable, because different topographies, different geographies, and different site operations might have different nuances, which should be addressed by a good AI solution. So that's what was demonstrated for one workflow, which was around land acquisition. And as we move forward in our conversation, we'll look at multiple such workflows. So here, what we are really looking at for reconciliation, an AI-powered site recognition, which can identify various features on the site and digitize them into GIS native outputs, and can export it to various other upstream and downstream solutions as per your need. And also should have mining specific intelligence on board, which can analyze these outputs for various standards and regulations, and can generate specific reports across, let's say, compliance, planning, and ESG related outputs. Not only that, especially for reconciliation, it should be able to, let's say, track your deviations in your actual site operations versus the plan which you created for that week, for that fortnight, for the month, or even for the shift. And the variation should be flagged almost immediately, and should allow you to have accurate control on your production, whether it is shift-wise production, hour-wise production, or even weekly and fortnightly or monthly production. And at the end of all of it, the entire data should be available into simple to understand dashboards, enabling different decision makers to be able to issue their decisions or to help teams take informed decisions on almost real-time basis. And in the formats which are accessible across different sites and different locations, whether it is remote or global. So moving forward, we'll see one of those workflows.
Mine planning and production often rely on scattered PDFs, disconnected systems, and manual reconciliation. Critical insights are delayed, and changes aren't always visible in time. Aereo Cloud connects the entire workflow, automatically linking data, flagging deviations, visualizing changes, and sharing insights across the site. Let's look at two of the most high-impact workflows in mining, and how Aereo Cloud makes them intelligent, digital, and connected. Mine planning is slowed by delayed updates and outdated inputs, with even high-quality 3D data often processed manually, wasting time, resources, and specialist effort. In Aereo Cloud, AI eliminates this manual effort. Smart detect tools instantly identify critical mine features such as benches, haul roads, and geological zones, essential for mine planning. Detect ore exposures to progressively improve geological models and mine plans, enabling faster and more automated planning. These outputs are export-ready and can be used directly in your mine planning and scheduling software through integrated APIs. With Aereo Cloud, you can create and update mine plans seamlessly and at scale, ensuring faster decisions, lower operational risk, and consistently optimized outcomes. In most mines, the data is abundant, but turning it into production reconciliation or usable outputs for planning and scheduling takes time. It's trapped in silos, dependent on experts or specialist software, with lengthy workflows and long turnaround times. Aereo Cloud's AI redefines volumetric reconciliation. With a single click, AI calculates excavated volumes, including cut, fill, and net areas, and delivers precise volume and weight measurements automatically. AI keeps every calculation export ready in multiple formats, enabling instant handover from survey to report. By fusing AI-powered feature detection with terrain change analysis, Aereo Cloud pinpoints production deviations down to each bench in seconds. Layer-based delegation assigns target areas to sub-teams, while dashboards track progress over time, giving operations teams clarity and leadership confidence. All of this is brought together in a single interactive dashboard, combining plan versus actual production views, volumetric reconciliation, and feature change tracking in one connected space. From bench shifts to stockpile updates, precise visuals and KPIs give teams a clear picture for confident decisions.
So that's how a good solution should function. Generally, it should understand what your preferred workflow is, should understand what are the various plans and deviations you want to really track, And this should enable AI to run the entire workflow while you're sipping your coffee and generate the reports for you to take your decisions almost on the fly. So moving forward, we'll look at how performance optimization is not really good enough, because when we talk about reconciliation, it's not just about production or planning. It should also enable you to run a responsible and compliant business. So one of the challenges which we deal, or often mining companies are dealing with, is that while they are chasing their production and quality goals, they are often stumbling with the challenge of also simultaneously maintaining their safety and environmental compliances. And with the increasing pressure to meet these compliances across the globe, it is important that the data sets concerned with the safety and environmental compliances are also brought into the AI workflows for reconciliation, so that companies and sites can get their performance targets achieved holistically. So let us look at how this can be also achieved. So, and what are the various compliances related hurdles which we face? So let's first understand the challenges which are there in front of us. One of the challenges is the evolving regulations. The regulations are changing quite rapidly across different geographies at local level, national level. In some of the places, we are even looking at nations divided into states, and states having their own compliances standards, while there is a larger level global also expectation from mining companies to become more and more compliant across different activities. The investors and boards of most of the mining companies are also having increased expectations on ESG compliance and transparency demands, which is leading to also quite a stringent public scrutiny these days. So whether it is your tailing dam operations, whether it is the emissions on your site or your water management. However, most of the other workflows in case of compliances also, we feel that the challenges are almost similar. The data sets are sitting in silos. There are inconsistent reportings which are there, largely driven by the inability to process these data sets and analyze these data sets almost real time. We are still very much dependent on very concentrated human resources to be able to analyze these data sets, especially when it comes to environmental compliance and ESG goals. And hence, we end up being very reactive with the manual processes in place and unable to actually extract the highest value from such kind of high fidelity data which is coming from the drone. Anyways, the same data is being collected for your production requirements, but we are not able to effectively make use of the same data sets for our compliance goals. And hence, if we don't arrest these compliance issues on time, sometimes they have also led to very expensive failures, whether due to the safety being not addressed at time, or also site not having real-time insights. And these kind of failures sometimes leads to heavy fines, suspension of operations, and also reputational loss for the companies. So an AI solution should allow us to basically address all of these issues and bring real-time visibility, which is lagging when it comes to compliances for most of the cases these days. So understanding these challenges, we created another bundle of solution using
Safety
AI.
protocols, environmental mandates, and statutory compliance. These aren't checklists, they're mission critical. Yet too often they remain fragmented, inconsistently managed, and not digitalized. Aereo Cloud brings AI-powered compliance into the core mining workflow. Integrated, intelligent, and always audit-ready. With a single click, Aereo Cloud's AI analyzes haul road safety parameters, width, gradient, and slope transitions, and flags risks in real time. AI also highlights non-compliant segments with clear, color-coded overlays, so risks is visible at a glance. Pit slope stability is tracked continuously, helping teams identify failure zones before they escalate into safety risks. Monitor dump slope geometry and structural integrity with real-time 3D overlays and heat maps. Unstable zones are auto-flagged, so inspections are faster, safer, and more predictable. AI pinpoints terrain irregularities and material stability, giving planners a clear view before hazards emerge. It automatically detects critical drainage paths and accumulation zones instantly, helping prevent erosion, flooding, and slope failures. AI analyses key environmental indicators, from green cover and canopy density to afforestation and vegetation loss. It detects afforested zones automatically, counts trees, and tracks plantation survival over time. Time-based layers show progress, flag risk areas, and keep compliance on track. Compliance metrics are generated automatically, ready for dashboards or audits. And with one click, export as PDFs, Excel sheets, or 3D snapshots. High-frequency tracking without data decay turns information into clear actions, visible as issues steadily disappearing from your dashboard.
So yeah, I hope you saw and you enjoyed the last part, which was how compliances can be tracked real time using some of the existing AI solutions. But it is important to understand that most of the foundation layer of what you saw is quite customizable. So if you are a large organization or you have very specific requirements, these AI capabilities can be also trained and tuned to meet your expectations as far as the localized requirements of a site or a geography or the organization is concerned. So moving forward, again, we would love your participation in this poll. So we talked about mine planning, production, and compliances being enabled through AI at the same time simultaneously on a single platform. So we would love to understand, since most of you are already using drones for your site intelligence, let's understand what are your biggest challenges when it comes to addressing planning, safety, and environment-related compliances at your site. So the option A for the poll is delayed or non-standardized compliance data. B, lack of real-time safety monitoring. C, manual resource-heavy compliance processes. Option D, no tools for automated plan and environmental tracking. And option E, none of the above. So you can scroll down and see all the options and choose. This is a multiple choice poll, so you can select if you agree with all four or only two of these or none of it. You have 20 seconds to submit your response.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would allow about 10 more seconds for this poll because it's quite long. So yeah, this is a multiple choice, multiple answers polling question. So please feel free to select between 1 and 3 options which are relevant to you. So we still have time, so please feel free to participate. Yeah, I think we can go to the next slide. Right.
Okay. So let's look at the result. Almost equal number of people feel that they have challenges related to delayed and non-standardized compliance data, manual and resource-heavy compliance processes, and no tools for automated plan and environmental tracking. All of you feel that there is lack of real-time safety monitoring, which is a common challenge across most of your site operations. So yeah, I think this tells us that what should be the ideal AI solution should look like. If not real time, it should be almost a very short turnaround time when it comes to monitoring some of these safety and environmental standards, and should be an automated workflow. So thanks a lot for submitting your response. Now let's look at the mining workflows which were so far existing and what is possible today with the state of art which is available. So as far as we'll go stage by stage, and we'll start with the data capture part itself. So earlier, most of the data collection was happening, or so far it has been intermittent and event based. So they're naturally leading to various gaps in the data sets, whether it is the delay or whether it is loss of data. So with the help of automated solutions and AI driven tools, at least today we are capable of collecting data on a continuous basis and at very high frequency. Some of these sites are even collecting data before every blast happens and after every blast to analyze the operations on a face level, and twice a day to thrice a day sort of frequency. And hence the impact is that we have always the most real time understanding of the site conditions, or the latest understanding of the site conditions, enabling furthermore decisions which can be taken on daily site operations. Again, because of manual dependency and also a lot of siloed data sets, there were challenges of data accuracy and consistency, because again, dependency on human driven processes, and also with very limited control on the quality standards. So today, because majority of you are already using automated drone workflows and also drone solutions, with the help of survey grade drones and mostly automated workflows, we have been able to achieve centimeter level precision. And also with the help of AI, we are now able to also monitor the quality of the raw data, which is essential for generating reliable insights further downstream in the process. So we are able to generate higher confidence on these data sets and better reports on the quality of the data sets. Now, when it comes to the next stage, which is once the data is collected, the other challenge which we have been facing is the processing and the speed at which we generate insights. So because most of these processings are happening in silos at different sites, in different workstations through different experts, it takes a longer turnaround time to be able to generate basic outputs in the form of maps. And sometimes it takes few hours, few days to deliver the basic outputs. Hence, the decisions are delayed. The insights which are to be generated on the data are also delayed because of the delayed inflow of these data sets. But with the help of cloud-based data processing solutions, especially those which are not limited with respect to the volume of the data they can handle in one instance, and also where there are AI tools to check all your steps of data processing at different stages, we are able to generate these outputs almost hands-free, without the need for any manual insights, and also by setting a common standard across your entire global operations. So no need to be dependent on the local human capital to decide what would be the quality and the standard of data processing. The centralized intelligence can take care of that as you decide your, let's say, data standards to be operated with across your global operations. And that leads to almost automated decision cycles with minimal delays in terms of from collection to processing and processing to generating reports. Then the next problem statement, which we talked about today, is the accessibility of the data and integration of the data with various other downstream and upstream software solutions for your mine planning and scheduling related use cases. So far, these data sets were sitting, most of the time it is sitting in silos. It is having limited access. Mostly it is limited to your sites or your national operations, if not global. So with the help of this centralized cloud platform, organizations can achieve a completely centralized data sets. Not only that, they can bring various other GIS data sets connected to each site, each operation, even different locations on the site into a single storage. So you don't have to store files and manage your geospatial data sets across different platforms. It can be all stored in single platform, visualized in single platform, and you can define role-based access to different stakeholders to be able to access those data sets. So you can also maintain a certain amount of territorial control on the data, that who has access to which data sets based on the geography, based on the team, based on the function, and based on the hierarchy. And ultimately, the single data set which is coming from either your laser scanner or from your drones becomes the single source of truth for all your teams and functions, whether it is internal experts or external experts. Now, the most important part is to drive decisions on these data sets. Most of the time, the decisions on these data sets were driven by manual geospatial operations, again, dependent on local expertise and local software tools and the ability to maximize the uses of those solutions, and also to meet the final outcome in terms of the insights we are looking for. Now, that is, with the help of AI, to a large extent completely automated, and you can make it more proactive, predictive, and modeling based, and you can simulate and generate different scenarios almost with a click. And hence you can have a direct impact on your ability to foresee how your site would look like and reduce all your risks of production or deviations or gap in your planning, and also your safety and environmental compliances. And since all the data set is centralized, it makes it also available for almost immediate inspection for your various compliances, whether it is production compliance, whether it is, let's say, safety compliance or environmental compliance, and enables you to also have a continuous monitoring of your site operations for holistic quality and also the turnaround time. That allows you to run your decisions much faster, make it almost regulation ready immediately without the need for too much dependency on external expertise. And at the end of the day, all of this, when put together and integrated with your other solutions, which is your mine planning and scheduling and triggering actions, it leads to very high operational efficiency and cost control. So earlier, the methods were very labor intensive, very repetitive, where each operation, as far as your geospatial data analysis is concerned, as well as also department specific insights are concerned, were very repetitive and were driving the cost on the higher side. Sometimes these operations were outsourced because of lack of in-house expertise. Now, all of that can be automated, which reduces your field time and optimizes your workforce utilization. Now, the workforce, instead of struggling to understand and collect and understand the data, would be putting more bandwidth on resolving the issues and preparing a highest standard site operation, which ultimately leads to lower operational cost and higher productivity holistically across all your departmental functions. So this takes us to the next poll, where we would love to understand your challenges in adopting such kind of solution. So let's say if we are looking at such a possibility from AI being delivered for your mining operations, what do you think are the challenges which you are facing in its adoption currently? So this is again a multiple choice questions. You can have one or three choices. So option A, lack of internal bandwidth or resources. Option B, uncertainty about integration with existing systems. Option C, need for internal alignment or approvals. Option D, still exploring options. If you're someone who's not yet figured out what will work for you, or you're still not got the perfect solution which you are envisaging, option D. And option E, none, you think that you're already ready to explore a solution like this for your site operations or your organization-wide operations. You can select that as well. You have 20 seconds to submit your response. You can scroll to see all the options and choose which of these options suits your scenario.
Yeah, thank you very much. And just a reminder that you can participate by selecting the answer that's relevant to you. Again, this is a multiple choice, multiple answer question, and you can select as many relatable questions, answers as possible. So yeah, you can start voting now. Right. Okay, I think we have 10 more seconds left, so we still have time. Please feel free to participate. And yeah, we can see the results.
Okay, so as we can all see the result, majority of you have a common challenge, which is lack of internal bandwidth or resources. Of course, these expertise are not easy to find and also not easy to centralize. Then almost equal proportion of our participants today feel that there is also very high uncertainty about the integration with the existing systems. And 1/3 of our participants today feel that they are still at the exploration stage for such options. So yeah, this is very helpful. And we all understand that today, majority of us have not really gone through exploring AI for addressing our safety and compliance related issues. And we just saw that now there are solutions which can possibly address these concerns and bring you a very integrated workflow for your compliance related matters. So this takes us to the next question, a very direct question from all of you. So whatever you have seen in the videos so far, would you recommend a solution like this within or outside your organization or to your colleagues dealing with any one of the related workflows? So you have two options, yes or no. And if you have additional comments, you can drop them in the Q&A section as well. We'll wait for 10 more seconds for your response. Who would you like to recommend this solution, either in your team or across your organization or outside your organization? I think if you can drop your response after selecting yes or no to the Q&A section, that will be great. That will help us to be able to address these issues with you more in a direct way. Okay, thank you for your responses. We'll move forward. So as you have seen, there are various AI possibilities which are available. Now we will move to our last section of today's session, which is the Q&A section. But before we move to the Q&A section and you form your questions, I would request every one of you to think if you have any questions related to what you saw today. Feel free to ask any of these questions in the Q&A section. We'll select some of these questions to address today within the specified timelines which we have. Otherwise, if your question doesn't get answered today, we'll be very happy to write to you with the responses to each of these questions. So rest be assured, each of your questions will be addressed and we'll reach out to you personally with the answers. If a question requires a detailed discussion, we'll be happy to connect and provide you some of these demonstrations, real-time view of some of these AI solutions, look at what your specific challenges are and to clarify any doubts you might have on the possibilities. Also, as a gesture to your participation today, we are enabling a one-time opportunity for a free trial of our solution, which you saw today. So, and also there is a small case study on how one of the world's largest coal mining company, which is Coal India, has leveraged our solution and improved the site operation across productivity, planning, and their compliances, and have generated several thousand reports across different functions within their enterprise. You can scan that QR code, download the case study, read through it. And if you would also like to try a solution like this for any one of your sites, feel free to write to us. That's my email ID. So I'm going to personally be taking care of your requirements. So you can write to me and claim your 1 month free trial with us.
Yeah, and thank you very much for this presentation. Just a reminder to the audience to ask questions. You can send them via the questions widget. Just type them in this box and click submit. Please note that you can still send your questions after the webinar and they will be answered at a later date. And it looks like we've got several questions already. And here's the first one. So let me scroll. Okay. Yeah. So our first question is, what's the tangible ROI you have seen from mines that have adopted AI-powered reconciliation?
Perfect. So that's a good question to start with. Thanks a lot, Eugenia, for putting it forward. So some of our, for example, one of the companies which is using our solution is one of the largest steel producer in Asia. And they have 12 open cast operations within their organization dealing with different material. One of the biggest challenge for them was to be able to track their raw material from their mines to ports to plants, and to also look at the consumption which is happening. So with the help of our solutions, they were able to now they are able to generate weekly reconciliation of their raw material movement, which was happening at quarterly interval. And they were able to achieve almost 98 to 99% accuracy in estimating these raw material movements and volumes at different locations, and have a clear dashboard together. Before, with this kind of AI solution, they were limited to around 85% accuracy. So that directly impacted the value of the assets on the book. That is one ROI. Second, some of their sites were dealing with delayed production or production not meeting the required target, almost 50% of their sites. So with the help of these reconciliation, they were able to now move from quarterly scheduling of mine to weekly scheduling of mine. Today, this organization across all their 12 open cast projects are able to prepare weekly schedules for their mine, which was earlier limited to monthly and quarterly. For some sites, it was monthly and some sites quarterly. And as a result, in a period of about 12 months of deploying this solution, all their sites are now ready to meet their production targets. So they're not having shortage. Plus, because this particular organization also is a steel producer, so their plants are running at a desired capacity because the supply of raw material is coming on time. And as a result, of course, their buyers and their customers are happy and their share prices are going up. So that's second important impact which we saw. The third important impact is that they were able to arrest all their issues of haul roads on a monthly basis. So they were running all their compliances on a monthly basis, and as a result we saw almost 20% savings in their fuel consumption because haul roads were made compliant. Not only they ended up meeting all their safety and environmental compliances on real-time basis, they also ended up improving the condition of these roads, which ultimately led to reduced fuel consumption. So 20% saving in the fuel cost was a huge shift which happened over a period of 1 year. And apart from that, they were also able to reduce the cycle time because the conditions of the roads were made very favorable based on these analysis on a month-on-month basis. Their cycle time for per trip was improved, and hence they were able to shift their raw material from the phases, active phases, to their stockyard within the specified time. And again, the fleet utilization increased, so that also contributed towards the fuel saving. And another important part is that since this company is based out of India, they have an annual compliance reporting, which is called MCDR. So they used to, before this solution, they used to have challenges in submitting reports for all their 12 opencast projects on time, and also to reconcile them, bringing all the data from different sources and preparing all these reports. So since our Aereo Cloud has entered or has basically been used within this organization, since last 2 years, all their compliance reports have been submitted at least 15 days in advance of the deadline. And they became one of the top few companies in their geography to be able to submit all their compliance reports almost or well within the deadline, and improve the rating of their mine. So the India also has a rating system for their mine, and consistently the rating of their mines improved over the 2 years, which basically establishes the fact that the quality of their mining operations and their ability to file and follow the schedules and plans which they submitted to the regulator is on dot. So these are some of the ROIs which we have seen. And one of the largest coal miners in the world, Coal India, is using this at 7 largest mine operations which they have. And one of these mines is also world's largest coal producing mine. So there we have seen a direct impact in the production quantities. So over the last 18 months since they have adopted these solutions, and of course improved how they take their decision, they have been doing their production tracking on a weekly basis for each active phase. And as a result of 18 months of consistent effort of using this solution and bringing the change in their management approach of utilizing such data sets, they have seen increase of about 6.5% in their production. And we are talking about 20,000 million tons of production happening over these 7 mines over a period of 1 year. So it's a huge quantity improvement in their production which has happened. So yeah, just to answer that question, these are some of the specific ROI which we have been able to deliver to these couple of clients or users.
Yeah, thank you very much for that response. And yeah, we have time for a couple of two more questions. So let me check. So this is our next question. Can we use drone solution for mitigating production losses during monsoon?
Absolutely. I think this is also a very active use case across different users where this solution is being currently used. So I'll maybe highlight a case study where a particular mining company, it has 4 sites which are located in very high monsoon geolocations. Now, what they do today, what they were doing earlier was whenever the water used to get accumulated in the pits, they will figure out how much water has been accumulated by doing manual surveys using the total stations and sticks. And then they will send the pumps within the pit to extract or basically remove the water. And they will shut down their operations, and they will plan that every year, these many months or these many weeks, we shut down the operation because of monsoon. So we will project our production keeping in mind these kind of halt of the operation. That was their earlier approach. What we delivered is that every season of monsoon, before every season of monsoon, these AI-powered analytics generates the complete drainage flow, that how the drainages will flow from different directions in the mine, and also simulates that based on the weather forecast, how much water can be accumulated in which locations of the pit. So they take two actions before every monsoon. They arrest all the unwanted drainages and redirect them to in such a way that water accumulation in the pit can be minimized. Based on the simulations of the water accumulation, they also establish a pumping capacity well in advance, and they ensure that there is never so much water accumulated in the pits so that their operations have to be halted. And as a result, they see lesser failures of their benches and slopes because the drainages have been planned in advance and they don't have water accumulation anymore. So hence their operations continues. So there is no more halt of operation during this monsoon. There is no more failures of the benches which have to be rectified post monsoon just because they are running AI to predict the flows and also to simulate the situation based on weather forecasts. So this is the direct ROI which we have delivered for their monsoon readiness.
Yeah, thank you very much for that response. Okay, and our final question for today is, while we are spending a lot of money in infrastructure for mine planning and design, we are still facing challenges in complying to the plan and design. Can your platform help here?
Absolutely. We saw that example in one of the videos where if you bring your mine plan at whatever frequency, let's say if we are deciding that we'll do this weekly, then we'll have to make sure that the drone operations and data collection, whether from drone or laser scanners, is happening on a weekly basis. And all your plans are basically pulled into our platform. That can be done either manually by uploading the data, or it can be done through API integration, where the data can flow between both the solutions, the Aereo cloud, as well as your mine planning and scheduling software, no matter which one it is. As far as it has got active APIs and SDKs, we can create that integration for you. And the mine plan can come and you can see your mine plan overlaid on your actual site 3D models generated from drones or laser scanners. And we can also track the deviations on a almost real-time basis using AI. So you can identify the zones or the areas in which you want to select or identify the deviations and define the schedule. And AI can directly generate reports notifying how much deviation has happened in the earthwork or cut and fill, whether it is your pit, your dump, or your stockyard, and also can generate phase-specific cross-sections if you specify which phases you want to generate reports for, and can trigger alerts as well. Not only that, the single data repository or a central data repository allows you to also store your plan for, let's say, the plan you would have prepared on quarterly, yearly, and let's say 5-year basis. All of that can be stored in one place. So all your teams can access the plan and also can get deviation alerts almost real time. And as a result, you can notify a reschedule. So you can push this data. Not only that, based on the exposure of the faces, here the AI can detect the ore exposures, their location, their geo coordinates, and push the updated ore body geolocation to your mine planning and scheduling software. So to be able to improve the models which they have, because often we generate these models using drill data sets, which are very scattered and may have a very predictive approach towards modeling the resources. But as and when you get the exposure, you get to know where exactly this ore sits. So our AI can detect such exposures and update your models directly by feeding the parameters or updated variables to your mine planning software. And you can then trigger, if there is a script-based trigger possible, we can create that, and you can trigger your updated schedule, and that schedule can be pulled back into the platform and again used to notify specific production targets to your teams on the site using the same platform. And we have a mobile app also which is compatible with the platform. So all these alerts and visualizations and plan can be basically generated and issued to your site individuals or stakeholders using this mobile app as well. So they don't have to come back to any particular location and open their laptop. They can be having a handheld device, and all these updates can be pushed to them directly on their handheld devices. All it needs is a basic 4G connection on the site. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Perfect. Thank you very much. And just a reminder that you can still send any questions while watching on demand. All questions will be answered at a later date. I would like to thank our presenters for what was a great presentation and Aereo for sponsoring the session. To the attendees, you'll receive an email with instructions on how to access the on-demand version of this webinar. Alternatively, you can access it through our website, which is pmi-live.com. Excuse me. We look forward to sharing further webinars with you, so please do keep an eye on the website just mentioned. Thank you once again, and I hope you all have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone, for your attention. We'll love to chat with you.